The air in the kitchen hung heavy, thick with the scent of burnt toast and unspoken accusations. I stood frozen, my fingers gripping the edge of the counter, as my wife's words sliced through the morning quiet. "I'm on an intimacy strike, David. Don't touch me. Don't even try." Her voice was a blade, sharp and cold, her eyes avoiding mine as she poured coffee with deliberate calm. The mug trembled slightly in her hand, betraying the storm beneath her composure. My heart lurched, a visceral jolt, like a car slamming into a wall at full speed. What the hell did that mean? An intimacy strike? After 12 years of marriage, 2 kids, and a life stitched together with shared dreams and sacrifices, she was shutting me out. I opened my mouth to respond, but the words caught in my throat, tangled in a knot of confusion and rising dread. Claire turned away, her auburn hair catching the sunlight streaming through the window, and busied herself with wiping an already clean counter. The silence stretched, taut as a wire, and I felt the first flicker of something darker than hurt, suspicion. Was this about last week's argument over the bills? Or the late nights I'd been pulling at the office? Or was it something else, something I hadn't seen coming? My mind raced, replaying her recent distance. The way she'd linger on her phone, the clipped responses, the sudden girls' nights, that left her coming home smelling faintly of unfamiliar cologne. I shook my head, trying to dismiss the thought. I was overthinking it. I had to be. "Claire, what's going on?" I managed, my voice low, unsteady. "You can't just drop that and walk away. Talk to me." She paused, her hand stilling on the counter, but didn't turn around. "I just need space, David. That's all." Her tone was flat, rehearsed, like she'd practiced this moment in her head. The kitchen clock ticked loudly, each second amplifying the chasm between us. I wanted to grab her, to demand answers, but her words, "Don't touch me," echoed in my skull, pinning me in place. The rest of the day unraveled in a haze. I went to work, sat through meetings, and nodded at the right moments, but my mind was elsewhere, dissecting every moment of the past few months. The signs had been there, hadn't they? The way she'd pull away when I reached for her in bed, claiming exhaustion. The late-night texts she'd dismiss as work stuff. The new perfume she wore, sharp and musky, so unlike the floral scent she'd loved for years. Each memory was a pinprick, small but cumulative, building a picture I didn't want to see. That evening, I found her phone on the couch, left carelessly while she tucked the kids into bed. My pulse quickened. I'd never snooped before, never had a reason to, but the weight of her words pressed against my resolve. Just one look, I told myself. Just to put my mind at ease. My thumb hovered over the screen, guilt clawing at my chest. What kind of man doubts his wife like this? But the doubt won. I typed in her passcode, our anniversary, a detail that now felt like a cruel irony, and opened her messages. The name at the top wasn't one I recognized. Evan. A coworker she'd said once in passing. The texts were a gut punch. "Miss you already," he'd written last night, followed by a heart emoji. Her reply. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." My vision blurred, the words swimming on the screen. There were dozens of messages stretching back weeks, flirtatious, intimate, damning. "You make me feel alive," she'd written. Alive? What was I then? The man who paid the mortgage, who coached our son's soccer team, who held her through every miscarriage and triumph. A dead weight. I set the phone down, my hands shaking. The living room felt too small, the walls closing in, the air thick with the scent of her lavender candles. Upstairs, I could hear her reading to our daughter, her voice soft and warm, the same voice that had just declared war on our marriage. The dissonance made my stomach churn. How could she be so tender with our kids and so cruel to me? I wanted to scream, to confront her, but the kids were here, and the last thing they needed was their world shattered too. Instead, I waited. I sat in the dark, the phone's glow burned into my retinas, and let the anger simmer. When she came downstairs, her face softened for a moment, as if she'd forgotten her own ultimatum. "You okay?" she asked, hesitating at the foot of the stairs. I forced a smile, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "Fine. Just thinking." I paused, letting the silence stretch again, testing her. "You sure you're okay? You seem distracted lately." Her eyes flickered just for a second before she shrugged. "Work's been crazy. You know how it is." She moved to the kitchen, busying herself with dishes, avoiding my gaze. The lie was so smooth, so practiced, it cut deeper than her earlier words. I wanted to believe her, to cling to the version of Claire I'd loved for over a decade. But the truth was clawing its way to the surface, and I couldn't unsee it. The next morning I woke before dawn, the weight of her betrayal pressing against my chest. I watched her sleep, her face peaceful, almost innocent, and felt a surge of conflicting emotions: love, rage, grief. I didn't want to lose her, but I couldn't live with this lie. As she stirred, I made a decision, one born of hurt and defiance. If she could withhold intimacy, I could withhold something too. Over breakfast, I set my coffee mug down with deliberate calm. Claire, if you're on an intimacy strike, I'm on a money strike. No more covering your expenses. You want space? Fine. Go to work. Pay your own way. Her fork froze midair, her eyes widening. What are you talking about? She stammered, her voice laced with panic. The kids were at school, thank God, so there was no audience for this unraveling. You heard me, I said, my tone colder than I'd intended. You want to shut me out? Then you're on your own. Starting now. Her face flushed, a mix of anger and guilt. That's not fair, David. You can't just. Not fair. I cut her off, my voice rising despite myself. What's not fair is you sneaking around lying to my face. Who's Evan, Claire? Tell me. The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her hands twisting in her lap. The silence was deafening, confirmation in itself. I leaned forward, my voice low, trembling with barely contained fury. How long? How long have you been cheating? It's not what you think, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. It's complicated. Complicated. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. You're texting another man about how he makes you feel alive. What's complicated about that? She stood, pacing, her hands raking through her hair. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. You've been so distant, David. Always working, always stressed. I felt invisible. Her words stung, but they didn't absolve her. So you found someone else to see you? Instead of talking to me? We could have fixed this, Claire. We could have tried. I know, she sobbed, collapsing into a chair. I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt you. I don't know who I am anymore. Her confession hung between us, raw and jagged. I wanted to hate her, to walk away and never look back. But the sight of her breaking down cracked something in me too. I thought of our kids, our home, the life we'd built. Could I throw it all away? Could I forgive her? The questions swirled, each one a weight I wasn't ready to carry. I need time, I said finally, my voice hoarse. But you need to figure out what you want, Claire. Because I can't live like this. She nodded, tears streaming down her face, and for the first time, I saw not just the woman who'd betrayed me, but the one who was lost, scared, and drowning in her own choices. The kitchen clock ticked on, marking the seconds of our unraveling, and I realized the real betrayal wasn't just her affair. It was the slow erosion of trust we'd both let happen, long before Evan's name lit up her phone. As I walked out to clear my head, the morning air sharp against my skin, I felt the weight of an uncertain future. Would we rebuild, or would this be the end? The answer lay in the silence we'd both created, and it terrified me more than any text ever could.